Hey guys, Steve here from Warrior Planet Tanks, coming at you today on a wonderful Saturday. Hope everybody's doing great. Today we're going to be doing a video about a underrated fish, a very popular fish, and one that is probably one of the most mistreated and misunderstood fish in the hobby today. We're talking about the Betta splendens, also known as the Siamese fighting fish. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what I do for success, what I do for care, husbandry, etc., and what to look for when you're purchasing one if you're thinking about getting one, and what to do if you have some questions about one that you may already have and you just want to improve the quality of life of your pet. So let's get started. Betta splendens, also known as the Siamese fighting fish, or simply just the Betta, they come from Thailand, where they inhabit slow-moving or stagnant waters, rice paddies, ditches, etc. They've evolved over time to live in water that is generally oxygen deficient. One of the adaptations that they have for this type of environment is a labyrinth organ. So these fish are able to breathe actual air. Just another adaptation from coming from the environment that they evolved from. Okay, and you can see this guy here. This is an old timer. He's a show quality VT. He's about 3.5 years old, pushing 4. You're going to get between 2 and 5 years from your fish, depending on the amount of care that you give them. I have these guys in show tanks for this video purpose and also for conditioning. In this tank I have him in here with his leaf, which is a peace lily leaf, also Spathiphyllum's the technical name for it. And I change these guys out maybe once every couple of months because they last quite long in the water. Okay, I have him in here with a female that I'm conditioning him to. These guys are being fed live food. I'm going to show you the female. This is the difference between a female Betta and a male Betta. This is your male. This is your female. This is actually a female crown. I've actually raised her from a fry. You can see that she has her stripes coming in, which is means she's well conditioned, and her egg spot will appear soon. So what do I do to take care of these guys? Let's start with the enclosure itself. These are custom ordered 2.5 gallon display tanks. I got them online from Deep Blue Aquatics, which is a small business. They've been around for a few years. They're kind of new, but they make some pretty good tanks. Now 2.5 gallons is the minimum recommended size that I would actually try to house a Betta in long term. You want to go about 5 gallons if you can swing it, but no less than 2. I do water changes once weekly with these guys, and I feed various diet. Now this is one of the more controversial fish due to the fact that they are extremely resilient. You will find them at a lot of big box pet stores, and Walmart even sells them. And due to the fact that the way they're sold, you'll see them in the small cups, the small containers, etc. Some of the better fish stores, I see them in dividers inside a larger tank with an adequate filtration system. But nonetheless, This is probably one of the most exploited fish in the hobby, and there's a lot of misinformation out there about this fish. And the care varies to different extremes. This video is really centered more to your average hobbyist who either ended up with a betta and they want to know how to take care of it, or some of your people who really are pretty gung-ho about bettas and have some of the fancy variety types, which I have those as well, and they want to optimize the care of them and possibly breed them and come out with new different variations of the fish. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with water changes. I'm doing weekly water changes, about 10%. So on a tank of this volume, if you'll look at my finger, I'll show you how much I personally take out each week. We're talking about that much a week. That's it. Now, I've read people saying anything in a 2.5 gallon, you want to do 100% water change weekly. I disagree with this, for the very fact that in any ecosystem, when it comes to aquariums that you set up, your biological cycle is paramount. Your bacteria colonize in your media, and that's what's going to help you remove the ammonia, taking it further down to nitrate, and then taking that further down to nitrite. I'll probably have that backwards, but that's the water cycle. So you don't want to do 100% water changes once your bio has been established. I would recommend doing 50 weekly until your bio gets established, but once it's been up and going, and these guys have been up and going for about 4 or 5 years now, you don't want to do that. 10%, 25% weekly, that's adequate. What kind of water do I use? And these guys, the majority of the water I use to refill is just bottled spring water. And I say spring water for the simple fact that this is your average person that has a career, a job, they just want a nice little fish. You can easily go to a supermarket and purchase in bulk spring water. Distilled drinking water has all the essential minerals, etc., removed from it, and it's just not gonna do very well for your fish. Spring water is good to go. Now, there's a lot of people saying the spring water might bump your pH too high. I've never experienced this, but it could be true. If you can't get spring water, treated tap water works just as well. And actually, what you can do is take some of your old milk jugs, give them a good rinse and wash, fill them up with water from the tap, and just let them sit somewhere in your home, like a closet, your mud room, your laundry room, etc., without the lid for a day or two for the gas exchange to let the chlorine dissipate, and then cap them up, and that water's good to go. Okay, now we're going to move on to feeding. These guys are getting a varied diet, and this is probably one of the biggest reasons people are unsuccessful with keeping these fish. Fish are pretty cool pets, but they're not dogs. So you really don't get a whole lot of interaction with them. And the only interaction most people get with their fish is feeding them. So they feed them and feed them a lot. Well, this guy here, his stomach is about the size of his eye, if you can imagine that. So they don't require a lot of food. Don't misunderstand me. They do require feeding, just on a minimal scale. They don't require a lot of feeding. Now, with these guys, I feed several types of food, which I have here. I feed a complete, specific betta diet, which is this one. It's put out by Seachem. I like it. It has a really good protein content, and it's formulated specifically for bettas. Now I'm going to show you the protein content. 40% crude protein, 6% fat. That's what you want to look for. You want to look for high protein to medium high fat content, because these guys by nature are insectivores. They eat larvae, insects from the top, etc. So they need a fairly high protein diet. With that being said, that also comes into one of the problems. You're feeding these guys this high protein diet, that's where all your other problems can come from. So you want to feed them sparingly. I also feed these guys bloodworms. Now a lot of people prefer to use the dry bloodworm, but I use the frozen. I buy them in bulk. I do have other fish that get bloodworms as well. And this contraption here is just your standard medicine syringe. For some of y'all that have children, you know, they get a cold, and this is the syringe that they give you to administer the cold medicine. Now, I got kids, so I got a lot of these. I wash them off, and you know, the kids aren't sick anymore. Don't throw them away. They come in very handy for using to feed my Betta. Now, filtration. Let's talk about filtration. As you can see, I have no filtration on this one. I'm pretty adamant about my water changes, and I have a pretty rigorous schedule for water changes. I don't find a filter to be necessary. However, if you can swing it and you have a larger tank, a filter's fine. Be mindful that these guys come from stagnant water. They do not like turbulent water. They don't like a lot of flow. So if you got a 5-gallon setup with a small filter on it, they should be good to go as long as you have plenty of structure in there for them. You can see that this water has a brownish tint. And I took the leaves out, but this water's been treated with Ketapang almond leaves, also known as Indian almond leaf or Catappa leaf. It's not completely necessary, but in the long run, it will maximize the overall health and quality of your fish. Let's move on. You want to keep your water temperature between 76 and 82 degrees. 82 being on the high side, optimum temperature about 78. So room temperature for most homes. If you keep your home around 75 degrees, that's fine. You just don't want to go colder than that. In the winter time, if you got the heat on, you're good to go. Anything below 70, you're going to kind of run into some problems. But once again, I say these guys are pretty resilient. If you're doing everything else the way you're supposed to, you shouldn't have a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of the different medications and treatments that I use for the water, also further maximizing their health. This is API Melafix. And all it is Melaleuca, which is a natural botanical oil, and it's from the tea family if I'm not mistaken. And this is a medicine in the sense that people will use it acutely to treat certain conditions, but I use it in a small dose in all my Betta setups, and I'll probably do it once every 2 months, half a dose. And all it does is keep your water. It does the same thing as an almond leaf, but I just like to make sure I'm good to go, because I like to really take good care of these guys. It's not something that you absolutely have to do, but it's something that I do. And when I say half the dose, I mean literally half the dose. And sometimes half of that. You just need a small amount. But it's out by API, and it's called Melafix. A small drop will do. So 1 teaspoon or 5 milliliters for 10 gallons. This is 2.5 gallons, I do half a milliliter, and I'm good to go. That's just something that I like to do. I'm going to show you a few different other setups that you can consider, and this is something that'll probably hit home closer to what some of you probably already have in your house. And I'm going to show you what to do if you have it, if you just can't go out and say, oh crap, I can't go out and get a 2.5, I can't go out and get a 5. So I'm going to show you some tricks that you can do to maximize the survivability of the animal you already have until you are able to get it into adequate housing. So let's just take a quick walk here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let's look at this guy. As you can see, this is really dark water. And I do that for a reason. That's all tannins in there. I don't know how well you can see him, but he's perfect. He's good to go. This is a spathiphyllum plant that I have growing in there. And this is one of the gimmicks that they sell to keep betta fish in. As you can see, I haven't trimmed some of the dead leaves off, and that's for a reason. I take those dead leaves and I throw them in my betta tanks also. They release tannins just as well as your almond leaf. I don't waste anything. But yeah, this is one of the gimmicks you're going to see at the store for a betta. And I keep him in here, and he's flaring up because he wants to eat, as you can see. But I got him in dark water. I do not recommend these to keep bettas in. I personally do not. However, I had it. Figured why not. I know what to do with these guys. I can look at him and tell. He'll rotate if he needs to rotate, but 9 times out of 10 he's going to be fine. He's already been in there for 2.5 years, and he's good as he's ever been. It's all about how you take care of him. Now let's take another walk, and I'm gonna show you another gimmick that they sell to keep bettas in. And just stay with me here. It's a beautiful day. Everybody's outside doing stuff except for me. I'm in here shooting video. This is another gimmick. These are the wall-mounted aqua ball thingies, and you know, they even got a cool little website where you can print a photograph of whatever you want, and it's a picture frame, and you put it on your desk, hang it on the wall, whatever. Well, this is one of my youngins, and as you can see, he is stunning. All that's new growth back there. Look at the clearness on those fins. When I got him, he was half this size, and he is looking great. But as you can see, I have 2 well-known common houseplants in here to kind of help me knock down some of the nitrate and ammonia in here to stabilize the water for this guy. I'm going to be honest. Out of all the fish I have, these little guys here are probably the most work that I do in as far as keeping them in an optimal condition. So I'm going to show you the plants here. This is just your common pothos. A lot of people call it ivory. It's pothos. And then right here I have some more of the peace lily, the spathiphyllum. And you can source this anywhere, Home Depot, Walmart, anywhere that sells plants. And this is the way I have them set up. You know, I have 2. So that one grows into this one, it roots, and so on and so forth. And I got another guy in here. Once again, dark water. Dark water is a secret. Let's see if you can get in here and see this guy. Excuse me. And he's hungry. Let's see if you can see him. Dark water, roots, etc. And there he is. Good to go. They're not lethargic, no clamped fins, free flowing, very beautiful. And this one's getting the water change today. Saturday's water change day. But I wanted to show you, this is how you keep them. I'm not gonna, you know, dress it up for the camera. This is real life, you know, and for the average person, this is probably what it's gonna look like. but you're going to take care of your stuff, and I'm going to show you how. So let's do a feeding, and I want to show you what it looks like when these guys eat. Let's take another walk. And before we do the feeding, I'm going to grab another gimmick, and I'm going to show you that gimmick and what not to do. So let's look at this gimmick here. Let's get over here to the display tanks, and I'm going to show you this gimmick right here. And I let it get crappy on purpose because I knew I was going to do this video, and I really just want to show you guys so it hits close to home, because you guys are going to look at this and say, oh, I've seen that before. Boom! This is terrible. It should be illegal. Not only are they exploiting children, they're exploiting a pretty resilient fish that should never, ever, ever have to live in such deplorable conditions. As you can see, the fish has been long removed. He's in the colony in another tank. But I let this one sit in the window to illustrate a point. So you got your child with you, and you go to Walmart, the pet store, wherever, and Mommy, Daddy, I want it. Look, it's got Dory on there. It's got Nemo on there. It's got whatever. I don't watch cartoons, and I hope I don't get sued. But you know what? These people shouldn't be doing this. You know, you want to say you're going to conserve the ocean on one hand, but on the other hand, you're preying off of the ambitions of little kids that watch your stuff to kill fish. I mean, it's an oxymoron in and of itself. That's my rant. I'm sorry. But here's another gimmick. This thing, it's ridiculous. And, you know, I fell into the trap. I bought it for my daughter to make her happy for a few days, but I knew Dory wasn't going to stay in there, and Dory is doing quite well in another one of my tanks. She lost interest in it in about 2 weeks, which was about as long as I probably would have let him stay in there. And Dory got snuck to another tank. Actually, she did it with me because I told her that it was time for him to get a new home because he was not happy. So this is another gimmick that you want to avoid. Don't buy these things. I'm not going to preach, but I'm going to say this. This is America. You vote with your dollar. If people stop buying this stuff, then they will stop selling this stuff. And pretty soon, maybe you'll go into a big box pet store or Walmart, etc., and you'll see a 3-gallon minimum, the smallest container you can purchase for a Betta. You'll see a 5-gallon minimum, the smallest container you can purchase for a Betta. But until people educate themselves and stop buying gimmicks like this, these beautiful fish right here are going to continue to get exploited. That's my rant. Let's do what everybody's been waiting for, and let's feed these guys. So in here, I got some bloodworm. And as you can see, before I feed them, I'm going to show you something else. These are labyrinth fish, like I said. Never, 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 never completely fill your enclosure to the top. They need space with air to breathe. And I'm going to show you, if you look at this lid, look at all that condensation that's coming off of there. That's that warm, humid air that they need. Okay, so let's go ahead and feed these guys, and I'm going to show you how I do it. It doesn't take a lot to feed these guys. I got my syringe here. It's got bloodworms in it. And look at them. They know it. Look at this dude. Hugh Hefner ready to eat. So I take it. I put it in there. And I mean, this guy will even jump out and attack the syringe. Look at him. Here, let's get down here. I'm going to show you. Yeah, he'll just nail it. He'll just nail it. And I'll put about 4 or 5 of these guys in here. And there you go. He's good to go. He's happy. Female, same thing. She sees him eating. And she wants to eat. So I'm going to just get that in there. And then I'm going to move on to this guy here. He's in his own thing. He's good to go by himself. And this is what I recommend. I mean, if you just don't have a lot of space or can't afford it, these little 2.5s are they're fine for one betta. And I'll just do that in there, and there he goes. He's gonna knock them down. Now these guys get the bloodworms. They get the betta diet. I use Seachem. I love Seachem products. This is probably one of the best ones I've seen. It doesn't foul your water. I haven't had any problems as far as bloating or any of that with these guys, and it's just a really good product. So just to give a quick summary, you want to get an aquarium that's no less than 2.5 gallons, or a vessel, volume wise 2.5 gallons minimum, all the way up to 5. The bigger the better. I like to keep it kind of small just because it's been the best success rate for me. You want to watch your water. Most of these guys are coming in now from farms, so they'll run at a neutral pH from 7. But you want to stay 7 down. I would say 7, 6.8. That's about okay. But don't make it too complicated. Normal water will be fine. Your fish are going to let you know if they're happy or not. You want to do your feedings. I don't feed these guys every day. I'm going to be honest. They probably eat 3 times a week, maybe 4. Reason being, with the high protein diet that they're eating, they can get a lot of problems. Constipation, swim bladder problems, etc., etc. And by the time you see any of the negative effects from those issues, the damage is usually already done and it's too late. Water changes. 10 to 25%, depending on the volume of your enclosure, once weekly. You can go 2 weeks if your lifestyle demands it, but no more than 2 weeks, please. If you do have to go more than 2 weeks, your initial water change upon returning from whatever you're doing should be at a minimum of 35 to 40%. Just to get them back right, and then you can resume doing your 10 to 25s. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. I hope this helps. If you guys have any specific questions, please feel free to ask. I don't know everything, but I know enough. And once again, like I said, this is just for the average person who ended up stuck with the betta because they're either their kid or they saw one and they figured, okay, this is inexpensive. It's not a whole lot of work. And they want to just keep it healthy and happy. So don't forget to click the links, subscribe, and leave comments and feedback. Thanks for watching. This is Steve from Warrior Planet Tanks. You guys have a great weekend and a great productive week. And I will see you guys again, same time, same place, same channel.